Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Knack. We do have live tournament action coming at you. It is going to be Hyper and Cliffbruce. I love his name for some reason, Cliffbruce. It seems forceful, but at the same time, it's kind of like non-imposing, which is kind of an interesting combination of words there. But Cliffbruce, there he is. He's going to be taking on Hyper, who has shown a lot of strength. We've seen a good bunch of games from this guy, ZvZ, very strong. And is now going to be going against another Protoss player here. Oops, I guess I can't tell him, but looks like Cliff did let him know regardless. Cliffbruce is spawning as our red Protoss player. He's kicking it up here at the top left-hand corner, and in the bottom left-hand corner, it is Hyper as our green Zerg. So good old PVZ. It looks like we're going to have an relatively early scout from Cliffbruce moving forward. He does have his pylon down at the ready. See if he's going to go for an early expansion here or not. Now I've seen some players that don't like to take the early expansion on this map because they a lot of Zerg opponents do expect them to. It's so easy to defend this natural back here, this back pocket expansion, that it tends to be a very good idea. So what happens is you get some metagaming going on occasion, and they get very aggressive early on instead, with maybe a 4-gate or something like that, and try and catch their opponent off guard. And notice that Hyper hasn't sent out a drone scout or anything quite yet. We do have Cliffbruce checking things out. He does not see any expanding going on, so he's happy so far. And it looks like Hyper is about to do something. He does have his spawning pool gone down. So pool first. See where he's going to go from here. I assume he's going to go for an expansion here in just a few moments, but no gas yet, so it could be a gasless play for the time being. There goes the expansion. Cliffbruce not in position to block it that time, unfortunately for him. But he does have his wall off going down in pretty decent style. He does have that cyber core gone down. And it looks like he is going to gear up for maybe an expansion of his own. Nope, not yet. Not yet. But he does have just the one gas for the time being and should be pretty standard opener so far. Nothing crazy. We'll see if he's going to start to deviate from standard play in just a few moments, I would assume. Looks like he might wall this off tight. Looks like he was thinking about it for a moment there. No, he's going to go for an expand. Wow, he's very indecisive. We better watch somebody else for the time being. Here comes your Lings. They're going to be cruising around, checking for any proxy pylons or gates or anything like that. Want to take care of that stuff ASAP. There's your Zealot. He is going to block this wall off. And another gateway going down for Cliffbruce. We do have one probe out on the field. This guy has not been scouted yet. It is a good possibility he will get scouted here in just a moment. Yes, he is going to get scouted by a Ling. That Ling is going to chase him down if he at all possible. Chrono's going down on your cyber core, and we do have 2 more gateways. This could be a solid 3-gate push from Cliffbruce, and I wouldn't even be surprised to see him toss down a 4th gate here at this point. But he did get his probe scouted, which is going to mean he isn't going to have a forward pylon unless he sends out another probe in just a few moments. Checking in on the units tab, 21 probes for Cliffbruce, 22, now 23 drones for Hyper. Hyper beefing up his economy there. Pretty good. In production, he does have even more drones. And we do have, wow, an expand gone down for Cliffbruce, but a 3-gate incoming from Cliffbruce. Where's your Lings? Where's your Lings when you need them? But a lot of droning going on right now for Hyper. Excuse me. Does have his gas out now, just the one. And going to be gearing up for, I would assume, his metabolic speed boost here in just a few moments. That natural here for Cliffbruce is going to be complete here in just a few moments. It's a little bit over halfway done. And we do have triple warp gates now out on the field for him as well. Good solid positioning here. Easy to defend 2 bases for a Protoss early game here. Oh wow, he's going to go for a small push. There's a Ling out here. He is going to scout this though. If Hyper's paying attention, he does see this going. But Cliffbruce does stall there in his tracks for a moment, maybe feinting that he is not going to be moving, feigning that he's not going to be moving forward. 3rd base going down for Hyper. Great position here. Nice defensible position for a Zerg when it comes down to it. Easy to defend 3 bases. All they have to do is toss down a couple spine crawlers here. Keeps guys out of that main. At least ground units out of the main. But looks like Cliffbruce trying to maintain map control at this point, blinding the tower there for a moment. There's an Overlord here, though, and the Zergling is going to poke back into the tower here in just a few. We do have some Overlords now headed into the main. Did see some Zealots moving out. We could see an attack here from Cliffbruce. He's starting to put together a pretty nice little force. Good bunch of sentries, a lot of energy on the sentries as well. So some force fielding will be very, very effective. Here comes a lot of Lings, and they may catch these guys off guard. Cliffbruce is going to have to be super careful. One of those sentries does get caught outside, but that's okay. Looks like some Zealots coming up from the back. Going to be able to take out quite a few of those, but look at that. All of those sentries do get cleaned out there fairly quickly. Hyper taking them down. Cliffbruce might find himself in a little bit of trouble here. He's actually way behind now in the supply count. I don't know what is going on. We do have a Twilight Council going down, and a lot of Overlords cruising through. Do see what's going on. Does see the Twilight Council. No upgrades started out of the Twilight Council quite yet. Of course, he's a little bit busy killing off Overlords to see if he's going to start an upgrade or go for a new tech pattern. Maybe DTs. He's a little bit behind and needs to be careful, but here comes your Lings. Hyper's so strong right now. He's on 3 bases. This is brutal. Don't entirely know what to think about this one, but Cliffbruce is finding himself way behind here very early and hasn't really endured much pressure, to be honest, so I'm a little bit mystified what the trouble is here, but he's got a great defense at this ramp for the time being against at least just Lings. So, going to be an interesting little play. Notice Hyper being extremely active with these guys. He's being hyper active, if you will. Cruising around looking for any type of proxy pylons or anything like that. Always good to be active on this particular map. It's such a large map, you can hide stuff all over the place. So checking things out on a regular basis is extremely wise. Now we do have Blink going down here for Cliffbruce. He is going to grab out a Forge as well. Going to start some upgrades for his ground units. But sticking with this gateway play, and he's only got the 4 gates for now. There goes a Robotics, and we're going to see some new tech out of him there. Good. Blink with a Robo. It's a good play here. In production, oh wow, we've got a lot of different things in production right now for Cliffbruce. He has got +1 missile attack, he has got Burrow, he has got Roach speed, and he's going to be committing to this Roach play for the time being. Feels like he's ahead, I think, and going for a big Roach push is an extremely wise idea, especially with Burrow. You can catch your Protoss opponents off guard with that Burrow so very easily. Great idea. And the Hydralisk Den now coming out for Hyper as well, so it could be just a good solid Roach Hydra push. And I'll tell you, I've seen a lot of guys coming back to this Roach Hydra play. It turns out that it's actually pretty strong. If you take it a little differently than we used to a couple months ago. What would it be? About 6 months ago, Roach Hydra was starting to be considered relatively weak, and people were asking for buffs. But turns out, if you just do it a little bit differently, Roach Hydra tends to be actually fairly effective. Notice Cliffbruce trying to secure his base. Not too far behind here on taking this. Actually, the timing is not bad at all. But getting this 3rd up is imperative for him. Looks like Hyper is gearing up to try and take his 4th, but in the meantime is moving out across the field with an extremely large Roach army. Man, I don't think Cliffbruce is going to be able to hold this one off as these Roaches come in. Kiting there, not going to work super well. Picking off a lot of those Stalkers there fairly quickly. Hyper in phenomenal shape. Cancellation of the Nexus there for Cliffbruce is a big deal. Look at the supply counts. 170 for Hyper, 96 for Cliffbruce. He's in such great shape at this point. He's controlling this game, tossing his 4th base down, working on all sorts of upgrades. He's grabbing out a Spire here, gearing up for his late game already, which I assume is going to be Broodlord play at this point. And he is really, really in control right now. He's burrowing, but he's burrowing right underneath an observer. So now Cliffbruce knows exactly what Hyper is capable of. So that's always comical. But he's still preventing Cliffbruce from taking the 3rd. which means that Cliffbruce is going to start to mine out this main. And that's not going to be a good deal for him. In fact, it's getting extremely low as is. Looks like Cliffbruce trying to poke down here, take out a couple free units if at all possible. And Hyper, though, is about to be maxed out. He's not going to be building. He's building a couple more roaches, but I don't think he's going to build any more, to be honest. I think we're going to see him grab out a couple of air units here. Yep, he is going to be grabbing some corruptors now. He's currently working on his hive. Probably going to see him go for a greater spire here in just a few. In the meantime, Cliffbruce is going to be moving down to the low ground, blinking down, taking Hyper by surprise there for just a moment. But the Roach is now pushing forward. Look how forceful Hyper is in this scenario. Such a smart play. Moving these Roaches right into position. Knows that trading armies for him is perfect deal. So he is going to do so ASAP. Cliffbruce going to clean these Roaches up, however, but man, it may not be enough in the end. Lost a lot of ground there. He's down to 91 supply. Hyper down to 53, but he's going to be able to remax here fairly quickly. He's got such a strong economy. Look how many drones he's got. 79 drones. Just a perfect number at this point. Cliffbruce at 58 probes, so got to be careful there. Hyper does have a heck of a lot of larvae just sitting around, waiting to have something to spend them on. He's grabbing his Greater Spire right now. How many corruptors did he get out? Just 6. So probably going to see Roach Hydra underneath, a good 6 solid Broodlords. Now back here at Cliffbruce base, we do have a pretty substantial army. Those Immortals coming in fairly handy during his last defense. He is grabbing out a robotics base, so that's going to mean we're going to see Colossus here in just a few moments. A great DPS unit. It's really going to help him burn through those Roaches, and Hydra's just a little bit better. Absolutely must have at this point. But is he going to have enough other support units to keep his tech units here safe? And that's a big question, I think, for Cliffbruce at this point. One that he's going to have to try and answer. But moving forward, he is still way behind in the supply count. We do have a Greater Spire that's about to be complete. Actually is complete. And here comes Overseers. Where's the Broods? Oh, it's not complete yet. There it is. But yeah, there's your Broods. They're moving out across the field. Getting them into position first. They are a heck of a lot faster. When they are Corruptors, once they're Broodlords, they do move in terribly slow. Unbelievably slow sometimes. So here comes your 6 Broodlords. He does have some good AA here. Hydralisks underneath, as well as a bunch of Roaches. Here comes your blink forward. Looks like a couple of these Broods are going to go down before they even morph. Wow. 3 of them do come out on the field. Only 2 survive that engagement, though. So nice snipe there from Cliffbruce. However, he still finds a lot of Roaches breathing down his neck, as well as some Infestors and Hydras and the Broodlords for support in the back. Now the Broodlords are going to start laying waste to this wall off here, and that's going to be absolutely zero fun for Cliffbruce. Now he did secure his 3rd base. He needs to get to mining it right away, though, while he does have time to do so. So he may end up having to sack it here. This is a strong army from Hyper. Look at the upgrades here on Hyper. He's got +2, +1. Flyer attacks in the works right now. You can see that Cliffbruce trying to bait him in here, but Hyper not really falling for it. He knows what he wants to do. He is just going to pick his opponent to pieces with these Broodlords while he is currently expanding to his 5th and 6th bases down in the bottom right-hand side of this map. Going to start to take down a couple of these wall pieces here. Smart play. The Broodlord's still wailing away here. Here comes your DPS and the Colossus. Already picking up 2 initial kills. But that wall going down, which is going to slow Cliffbruce down just a little bit. Looks like the Broodlords are going to go down. Nice snipe there from Cliffbruce, but it's still not enough. There's the GG. There's the well played. Nicely done from Hyper, and he is going to be moving on into the semifinals, ladies and gentlemen. Good stuff. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for watching. Don't alt tab, always on Starcraft. We'll see you guys in our next game.